Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to talk all about slope-intercept form, and this would be like a beginner's lesson, just talking about what it means. And we are going to alternate between the equation, a graph, a table, and a scenario. So here we go. So I'm going to use really simple numbers for this first problem, just because I want to make it as easy as I can for you. So let's pretend you are a babysitter and you make $2 an hour babysitting. I know that sounds like not very much, but just go with me. Then let's also pretend you already have $3 in your wallet. So the money that you make babysitting will be added to the money that's already in your wallet. Okay, so let's call X the amount of hours that you are going to work babysitting, and let's call Y the amount of saved money you have. The reason I chose hours for X and money for Y is because the amount of hours that you work is going to affect the money that you have. You always want to, if you can, have the X affect the Y. The X is also sometimes called the independent variable, and the Y is sometimes called the dependent variable. The money that you make is dependent upon the hours that you work. Okay, let's start with a table. One sec. All right, so let's pretend so far you have not babysat one single hour. All you have is that $3 that is in your wallet. So at 0 hours of babysitting, you still are going to have $3. What if you babysat 1 hour? So you get $2 an hour for babysitting. So there's that $2. Plus you have your $3 that you saved. So you would have a total of $5. Let's pretend you worked 2 hours. 2 hours times the $2 is going to give you $4 plus the 3 that you already have. 3 hours, see if you can do it. 4 hours. So we started with $3, and each hour that we babysit, we are going to grow $2. So every time here, we are adding $2. Add $2, add $2, add $2, add $2, because every time we babysit, we get an extra $2. Okay, let me show you what this scenario would look like on a graph. So our graph is usually set up into 4 quadrants, and we're talking about positive hours worked, and we're talking about positive money made. So we're going to kind of hang up in this positive part of our quadrant. Remember, when you go right, it's positive, and when you go up, it is positive. So right at the beginning, after 0 hours worked, and I'm going to go ahead and label this hours, and this money, because remember, X is talking about our hours, and Y is talking about the money that we've saved. Okay, so after 0 hours of working, remember, we had that $3 in our wallet already. So at 0 hours, I'm going to go up to 3, and I'm going to put a point. Okay, this stands for 0. Now, after 1 hour worked, and this would be our first hour, I would have $5 total. So I'm going to go over 1 hour, and I'm going to go up to $5 in money. We are also counting by ones on our money side. And if you don't see any numbers labeled, you are most likely counting by ones unless it says otherwise. Okay? After working 2 hours, 2 hours, I'm going to be up at $7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After 3 hours of working, I'm going to be up to $9. And as soon as you start to see these points form a straight line, it is called a linear line if it is straight, we can go ahead and connect these points. Now, the reason I extended this line into the negative is because I just wanted you to kind of see what a line would look like on a coordinate graph. Now, we are not going to go negative into our hours, and we're not going to go in debt with our money, but I just solely wanted to show you the way that a line is usually graphed. Usually, it will go on and on in both directions. So this line moving up means the more hours that I babysit, the more money I'm going to have. Okay. Lastly, we are going to put this into an equation in slope-intercept form. This is what the equation looks like in slope-intercept form. A lot of times we call it y equals mx plus b, and y in our case is talking about the money, and x in our case is talking about the hours, okay? What we're doing with the m, if you can see this variable is being multiplied by the x. Remember, when they are right next to each other, they are being multiplied. This is also the number that we're growing each hour. Remember over here, every hour that we worked, we were growing by 2. We technically took 2 and we multiplied that by the number of hours that we worked. So instead of writing m, I am going to write 2 there. That is the amount of money we make per hour. Sometimes this is also called the unit rate or the constant of proportionality. Okay, but for right now, we're just going to call it m. Sometimes it's also called the slope. Okay, this out here, this is the amount we started off with. Sometimes you call this the initial amount or the y-intercept, okay? So the initial amount that we started off with was 3. We started off with $3 in our account. So our b is going to be 3. So this is the equation in slope-intercept form of our babysitting scenario. Now, if I was really trying to save money, maybe I wanted to know how much money I would have after 40 hours of babysitting. I would take the number 40 hours, and I would plug it into my x, and I would have y equals 2 times 40 plus the $3 I already have. So 2 times 40 is 80, and 80 plus 3 is 83. So that means y would equal 83. Let's move into an example that is just a little bit more tricky. Okay, let's pretend this time I mow lawns, and each lawn that I mow, I make $15. So x is going to be the lawns that I mow, and y is again going to be the money that I make. So the amount of lawns that I mow is going to affect the money that I have. Now, I do have a bit of a problem. I do not have any money saved. In fact, I am in debt. I am in debt $100. So I am actually going to start in the negatives this time. So let's make a table. So if I have not mowed any lawns, I am in debt and I have negative $100. Now, if I mow one lawn, I make $15. But if I put that towards my debt, unfortunately, I am still in debt, but not quite as much. Now I'm only in debt $85. Okay, I'm gonna mow another lawn because I really want to get out of debt. This time I am gonna be in debt $70. All I'm doing here is I'm adding 15 for each of these because that is how much money I am making mowing these lawns. Plus 15, plus 15. If you're in the negatives and you're adding positive numbers, you might still be in the negatives, but it's going to be less, okay? So negative 70, I'm gonna add another $15 to that because I really wanna get out of debt. So I'm gonna go mow another lawn. So I'm only gonna be in debt $55. How much do you think I would be in debt if I mowed 4 lawns? only $40 in debt. What about 5 lawns? Okay, after 5 lawns, I'm still in debt, but not quite as much. Let's see what this looks like on a graph. So the first thing I notice is I don't really want to count by ones with this because I go all the way down to -100. So I personally am going to choose to count by tens. One sec. So I chose to count my money by tens, but I still wanted to count my lawns by ones. And if you count by different things or anything besides one, you always just kind of want to label what you're doing so whoever views your graph could easily understand it. So if I haven't mowed any lawns, unfortunately, I am $100 in debt. So at 0 lawns mowed, I'm going to go down here to -100 and put a point. Okay? After I mowed 1 lawn, I'm still in debt, $85. So after 1 lawn, I'm going to go down to -85, which is right there, and I'm going to put a point. I am going to continue this. 2 lawns, I am $70 in debt. 3 lawns, I am $55 in debt. 4 lawns, I am $40 in debt. Now, I am starting to see a good line starting to form, a straight line, a linear line. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to connect my points and make my line. Okay, as you can see by looking at my graph, it is at this point here that I am finally going to mow enough lawns to get myself out of debt. And then every lawn that I mow after that point, I am just going to go up and up and up in money. Okay, so it looks like somewhere in between 6 and 7 lawns is when I would get out of debt. Now let's make the equation. So here is our equation, y equals mx plus b. And x, remember, those are the amount of lawns that I'm going to mow. And y, remember, that is talking about the money that I have saved. So this is the number that we would multiply by the amount of hours. And if you remember from our table, each lawn that I mowed, I added another $15. And that's how much money I make an hour mowing lawns, $15. So instead of writing m, I'm going to write 15. Remember, this is also called the unit rate, the constant of proportionality, and sometimes the slope. Okay, then what I need to do is I need to add the amount that I already have. Well, remember, unfortunately, I didn't start off with any money. I actually started off with debt. So instead of adding money, I am going to add a negative amount of money. I could either write plus -100 because that's how much I started in debt, or you could write y equals 15x minus 100. These two mean the same thing. So let's see how much money I would make after mowing 7 lawns. I'm going to take 7 and I'm going to plug 7 in for my x. So I'm going to have y equals 15 times 7, and then I'm going to minus my 100. Well, 15 times 7 is 105, and 105 minus 100 is going to give me $5. So after mowing 7 lawns, I'll be out of debt and I'll still have $5 to go get me a coffee. I hope this made sense. If it did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. See ya!